It's just that your fear of regret is greater than your fear of rejection. Think about that for a second. I'm gonna say it one more time. Your fear of regret must supersede, must be bigger, must be greater than your fear of rejection. And so I remember when I quit my management consulting job, which took me 6 months. So I'm not saying this from a pedestal. It took me 6 months I decided I wanted to quit. It took me 6 months before I actually quit. By the way, you can measure how powerful someone is by the distance between when they make a decision and what happens in reality. So if you want to feel impotent, then take as long as you possibly can between when you make a decision and when you act on that decision. Now for me, it was 6 months. And all I did was I called my friends up every night. I was like, I'm gonna quit my job, I'm gonna start a business. And we talk every night, literally every night. And I would be pacing in my condo, like, I'm gonna do it. And I wouldn't do it. I was too afraid. I was too much of a scaredy cat. But the thing that got me over the hump was this. Number one, I knew that when I looked back on my life, if I never took the jump, I would have been ashamed of myself. And I would have felt like I was a pansy. And I was like, I can't die a pansy. I have to be able to make a jump. Number two, I played out plan B, which is, okay, let's say I actually completely fail. What happens? I was like, well, I'm not really gonna be homeless. I know enough people that I can get food, right? And I was like, okay. So I would probably just couch surf. I'd have a little bit of shame. But at the end of the day, what would I really do? Well, I could always apply to get the job that I had back. Or I could just go to another place with an experience or a story that would set me up for something cooler later. And so all of a sudden I was like, wait, so my plan B is that I just have a cool experience that I could talk about at a job interview or to go to business school? Okay, that doesn't actually sound that bad. And so there's this huge amorphous fear, but I've just noticed in my life that fear only exists in the vague. It doesn't exist in the specific. If you're afraid of something, try and break it into pieces and spell it out. Play out the next 2 or 3 steps. Because all of a sudden, if you're in the developed Western world, the downside risk is not really real. Like the only real downside risk is the opinions of other people who will say that you failed, who you don't care about anyways. But like, you think you're going to die, but you're not. You're just gonna learn some stuff and you'll be like, oh, maybe next time I'm not gonna make that mistake. And that's it. And I say this, and it's easy for me to say, but it took me 6 months to figure this out. But I do remember my final straw was the realization that I had at the time, no girlfriend, no kids, and I had no real, financial responsibilities besides like eating and having a place to live. I said, if I can't make the decision now because it feels too risky, I will never be able to make the decision. Because if other people rely on me, now some of you are in a position where people do rely on you, and you're like, well, Alex, I've got people who rely on me. Yeah, I would say that it makes it harder.